Yo, what's up, guys? MVP 1 is this weekend. Ronda Rousey versus Gina Carano and James Keller MMA. I'm here breaking down the whole card. Uh, First ever Netflix MVP MMA card, guys. And it's pretty decent, you know. Um, it's very. The last fights are really carrying the card, but still, the main event, Gina Carano versus Ronda Rousey, kind of an odd main event. I'm not gonna lie, kind of a strange one. The Battle of the Ants. Um, I'm here though breaking down each and every fight, who I got winning, how I got them winning, and exactly, you guys might not know who these fighters really are. I'm gonna let you know. I'm gonna let you know who the fighters are you might not know about, and who you should really be on the lookout for. There's a couple sleepers on this card, a couple sleeper contenders, but getting right on to it with the first fight of the night, we got Brandon Jenkins versus Chris Avila. Now, this is one of those fights that is not a sleeper fight. All right, Brandon Jenkins is 16-11. Chris Avila is 8-9. The reason Chris is on this card is because he's Nate Diaz's boy. They're boys, best friends with Nate Diaz, which I'd love to be homies with Nate Diaz. I'd love to be on this card. But yeah, Chris Avila, man, 8-9. He's not that good. His last 8 fights have been boxing. He's coming off of 2 boxing losses, but in boxing, this dude Chris is not that bad. He's got some hands in the boxing ring. I just can't pick him. I cannot pick him. Brandon Jenkins is 16-11. He does have 11 losses in pro MMA. He's coming off of a knockout loss last December in Karate Combat. And before that, he was subbed in MMA by my boy James Martin. Shout out James Martin. So yeah, Brandon Jenkins has had a bit of a skid in MMA, He doesn't have the best submission defense, I will say. I will say that the number one weakness of Brandon Jenkins is his submission defense. But listen, I don't see Chris Avila subbing him or taking him down or threatening any takedowns. I see this fight majority being on the feet, and if any takedowns do happen, it's going to be from Brandon Jenkins. And I think Brandon Jenkins will crafty veteran his way through this fight. He's 16-11, 27 fights. I see him winning this one. I see him scraping by, getting a decision win, being a little bit of a, more of a mixed martial artist, because like I said, last 8 fights Chris has been boxing, and yeah, when it comes to MMA, he's not the best. He has a loss to Artem Lobov. That was on the Nate Diaz versus Connor 2 card, which, that's crazy. They literally had Nate's boy fight Connor's boy, which is insane. It's kind of crazy to think about, but Artem Lobov ended up winning that fight. So yeah, both these guys aren't good, but Brandon Jenkins has fought the tougher competition. He had those. He's had a couple fights in the UFC. He got knocked out by Rong Zhu, and he got knocked out by Jakar Close. But still, after those fights, he's had some comeback wins, and I see Brandon Jenkins winning this fight. Give me Brandon Jenkins by decision. All right, guys. Next fight on the card: Aline Pereira versus Jade Masson-Wong. Very high level fight for women's whatever it is. Women's, they have it at 130, so I'm assuming it's women's strawweight. But yeah, Aline Pereira is Alex Pereira's sister. She's 2-2 as a pro. Jade is 3-2. Aline Pereira, everyone talks about her striking style and how it's very similar to Alex Pereira. And she does have a very good striking style, but it's very awkward. She stands straight up, stands really straight up. She's really flat-footed, but that allows her to land big power shots on these girls. Jade Masson-Wong is a bare-knuckle boxer. Her last fights have been in bare-knuckle boxing, and her last 10 fights have either been boxing or bare-knuckle boxing. And, I was thinking when I was making this video, when I first, before I watched the tape, I was thinking Jade would be able to get on the inside and land big shots, but nah, I don't think so. I think that Aline Pereira is just going to be a little too clean. She does have very clean, powerful striking for women's strawweight, or my bad, women's flyweight. My fault. Women's flyweight. So yeah, I see Aline Pereira landed big clean shots and honestly finishing this fight by the second round. I'm taking Aline Pereira by round 1 TKO. If she doesn't get it done in the first, I see her getting it done in the second. I see Jade Masson-Wong rushing in, trying to land boxing combos because that is her bread and butter. And I don't think she's going to be able to get on the inside reach of Alina Pereira. Alina Pereira is very, very long. Like I said, stand straight up. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. But I'm taking Alina Pereira by round 1 TKO. Hammer it. Okay, guys, coming on to our next fight. David Mgoyan versus Albert Moraes. Now, David Mgoyan's 8-1 with 6 finishes. He has 5 knockouts, 1 sub. His 1 loss was to Tommy McMillan on the Contender Series. But guys, before that, besides that, he's just been murking dudes. He has an amazing ability to finish fights, whether on the feet or with the submission. He has a very, very good, underrated submission game. And, Albert Moraes, he is 19-10. He does have 15 finishes, which is a lot, but he's not on that level, I don't think. He showed he wasn't on that level inside the UFC. He was 1-4 in the UFC before getting cut. And the problem with Albert Moraes is, like I said, he's not on that level. He is 34 years old. David is only 21. He's a young contender in this game that has a bright future. So they're just at different points in their career. I see David Mgoyan going in there and finishing this fight against Albert Moraes. I see him getting a second round finish. I don't know if that's by sub or TKO. I'm maybe taking the submission, but we don't know. I'm taking it by finish, though. I know he's going to finish in the second round. David Mgoyan by second round finish. I just don't think that Albert Moraes is... He's shown he's not on that level, and he's just at a different point in his career than David. And I see David getting a win here and possibly even, making his way into the UFC sometime soon. Like I said, his only loss is to Tommy McMillan, who has shown that, he's kind of a rising contender in the featherweight division inside the UFC. So that loss is aging well. And I don't know. We'll see what David Mgoyan does, but I see him having a stellar performance. I see him looking good. I see him looking clean. Maybe Albert Moraes could, crafty veteran his way through this fight. Like I said, he is 34. He does have 30 fights compared to David's 9. So that experience does play a factor in this fight, but I just think they're on different levels. I think David is going to be able to finish him. Okay, guys, coming on to our next fight, we got Jason Jackson versus Jefferson Creighton. And this fight, Jason Jackson is the only dude who's ever beat Yaroslav Amosov. He TKO'd him back in 2023. If you guys know, Yaroslav's the dude who just got that win over Joel Alvarez at UFC 328. And that fight, man, Jason Jackson, people have said that he's kind of got a boring style, but dude, he is very, very, very elite on the feet. He's got a good striking style, can crack. He's got some power behind his shots. And Jefferson Creighton is 12-2. He has a very, very good, well-rounded game. But like the last fight, Jefferson Creighton's just not on that level. Now, technically, Jeff's last real loss in MMA was all the way back in 2021. But he did lose on The Ultimate Fighter in 2025, but those fights don't count on your record because they're an exhibition technically. But yeah, I just don't think that Jeff couldn't get past the Ultimate Fighter. And Jason Jackson, I know that he's not, in the UFC, but he's shown that he can compete against these UFC level guys with the knockouts he's gotten. Yeah, Jason Jackson has just been stacking up wins outside of the UFC. I see Jason Jackson winning this fight, just being cleaner on the feet, tagging up Jefferson Creighton and hurting him bad. I see Jason Jackson finishing this fight. I'm taking him by round 2 TKO. I think that Jefferson will make it past the first, but then after that, I think that the power and the striking of Jason Jackson will be too much. But, I could see this fight going to a decision. If that is the case, I'm taking Jason Jackson still. I think that Jason Jackson will just be a little bit cleaner on the feet, tag him up. I don't think that Jefferson will be able to take him down. Yeah, I'm taking Jason Jackson, round 2 TKO. All right, guys, coming on to our next fight, we have Adriano Moraes versus Phumi Nkuta. Now, Adriano Moraes was supposed to fight Mohamed Mokaev, but Mokaev had to pull out because of visa issues. So Phumi is stepping in there on short notice, which really sucks. I really wanted to see Mohamed Mokaev fighting Adriano Moraes. I think that would have been a very high-level fight. But yeah, Phumi Nkuta is stepping in there. And he is 11-0. No hate to him. but he's not beating Adriano Moraes. He's not on the same level as Adriano Moraes, in my opinion. The competition level that Phumi Nkuta is fighting compared to the level of Adriano Moraes is just night and day. Adriano Moraes has a knockout win over Demetrius Johnson, while Phumi Nkuta has some decent wins over no high-level competition, really. Like, the dudes that Adriano Moraes is fighting over in one championship and beaten is just on another level compared to the dudes that Phumi Nkuta is fighting. And overall, I see Adriano Moraes just being better everywhere. Adriano Moraes is a big 125er, and they're fighting at 130. And I see Adriano Moraes being better on the feet, better in the grappling. I'm taking him by a third-round finish. I see him finishing Phumi Nkuta. I don't think Phumi has ever fought somebody on this level. Adriano Moraes is on that championship level. Like I said, a knockout win over Demetrius Johnson, the greatest flyweight of all time, arguably the greatest of all time. Like, come on. Come on, guys. I'm taking Adriano Moraes by third-round finish. I'm leaning more towards sub than knockout, but I think that he might hurt him with the hands. And maybe that'll lead to the submission. But I'm taking Adriano Moraes by a third-round finish. All right, guys, coming on to our last fight, the feature fight on the prelims. The last fight on the prelims, we got Namo Fazil versus Jake Babian. Now, Jake Babian is a knockout artist. He's been knocking out dudes on the regional scene. He's been starching them. Both these dudes are good prospects. Both these dudes are elite prospects. But the thing about Namo Fazil is he's just a little bit more well-rounded, I feel. I feel like he's proven against the higher level competition that he's just a little bit better than Jake Babian. Jake Babian does have some sick knockouts. He's been knocking dudes out. But the dudes he's fighting aren't anything to write home about. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're both young in their career, I know. And I think that Namo Fazil is just at a little bit of another step up. You know what I mean? They're both young, but I think that Namo is a couple steps above Jake Babian. I think he'll show that in this fight. I think he'll use his well-roundedness. I think he'll end up taking this fight to a decision. But I see him winning a decision because, Namo Fazil, 9-1. Jake Babian, 6-1. Like I said, these guys are both young, but Namo Fazil has been fighting the better, tougher, higher level competition. Jake Babian's kind of been fighting the lower level. He's knocking him out, he's putting him out, but I see Namo Fazil avoiding the big knockout shots and winning this fight by a unanimous decision. I'm taking Namo Fazil. 30-27 decision. Okay, guys, coming on to the first fight on the main card, we got JDS, Junior Dos Santos versus Robelis Despaigne. Now, a lot of people are picking Robelis Despaigne in this fight. I think he's the favorite going in there. Which, guys, why? Robelis Despaigne is 5-2. He lost to Austin Lane. That's his last loss in the UFC before the UFC kicked him out. I know he's had some good wins in karate combat since then. He's got some power, this dude Robelis Despaigne. He's a 6'6", Cuban heavyweight with a Taekwondo background. But guys, Junior Dos Santos, people forget, Junior Dos Santos is one of the GOATs of heavyweight, all right? This dude's a demon, all right? Now, I know he's kind of past his MMA days. He's riding a 5-fight losing streak in MMA. Those guys, though, are the best in the world, all right? 3 of those guys have been Francis, Cyril Gane, and Curtis Blades. Those guys are still, top level in the UFC. Francis, in MVP, but still. Junior is losing to the top level heavyweights, while Robelis Despaigne is losing to Austin Lane. Are we serious? Are we for real right now? I'm saying, if you can't knock out Austin Lane, the dude with the worst chin in the UFC, you're not knocking out my boy Junior Dos Santos, I know JDS, he's 42 years old. He's kind of looked terrible in his last MMA fights. And chances are he does get knocked out in this fight brutally. But I'm just not banking on that. I think that Junior Dos Santos will just be a crafty veteran and work his way around the Robelis Despaigne knockout. Maybe even find a finish on his own. But I'm taking Junior Dos Santos by decision. I think he'll win a unanimous decision. Maybe he'll lose the first round. Or I don't even see him losing a round, because that's the thing. If Robelis Despaigne, that's the only way Robelis Despaigne is winning, by finding a big old knockout shot, which it could happen, you know? It's possible. Very, very possible. But 5-2 Robelis Despaigne. Couldn't even knock out Austin Lane. Man, this dude's such a lame. All right, let me shut up. I'm taking Junior Dos Santos. I could have done a better rap than that too. Okay, guys. Salahdine Parnasse versus Kenneth Cross. Now, Salahdine Parnasse is a monster. This dude's a demon, all right? This dude is 22-2. He's got 14 finishes in MMA, 7 subs, 7 knockouts. Very, very elite on the feet, you know. Dude, I gotta stop rhyming. Very, very elite striker. He's got great power, great speed, good defense. And Kenneth Cross, you know, this dude, just not the best. He's just not the best, you know. It seems that when Kenneth Cross fights the tougher level competition, he seems to just struggle. Kenneth has spent his entire career just fighting on the regional scenes, fighting in lower level promotions, and then when he does fight the next level of competition, seems to struggle. He seems to lose. Kenneth Cross has proven that he's not on that next level, and I think Salahdine Parnasse is on that next level, you know. I think that Salahdine is one of the highest level prospects outside of the UFC, in my opinion. You know, this dude being 22-2, having 14 finishes, the style that he has, you know, very, very elite counter grappling, very, very elite striking. Like, this dude, I see him going into the UFC at some point into his career, sometime soon, honestly. And Kenneth Cross, man, like, I don't see Kenneth Cross ever, you know, ever going anywhere in MMA, but maybe he'll prove me wrong. Maybe he'll prove me wrong in this fight. I'm taking Salahdine Parnasse by round 1 knockout. I think he'll find the knockout quick and early. The power, the speed, the accuracy. I see him finding the round 1 knockout. All right, guys, coming on to our feature fight. Francis Ngannou versus Philipe Lins. Now, I didn't know why this wasn't the co-main event, but I kind of understand because of Philipe Lins. Man, the stock of this fight. Like, you got literally the GOAT of heavyweight, the greatest heavyweight of all time, and then Philipe Lins. Like, what are we doing? Philipe Lins, if you guys don't know who he is, he fought at 205 in the UFC, and, you know, wasn't the best. Wasn't the best at 205. He's got some bad losses. He's been knocked out at 205. He's got a loss to Andrei Arlovsky. His last fight was against Iwan Kutalabe all the way back in, I think, 2022. And that was at 205. So, yeah, this dude's just a bloated up 205er fighting Francis Ngannou, who, if you don't know Francis Ngannou, the hardest hitter of all time. Francis Ngannou, when you're saying somebody hits hard, you say, you know what, that guy's the Francis Ngannou of whatever, of boxing, or of whatever, of the bantamweight division. Like, Francis Ngannou, all it takes is one punch. Boom! All it takes is one punch. He's coming off of that TKO win over Renan Pereira, which was a great TKO win. He used his grappling to take him down and then, bam, ground and pound, knock him out. And, you know, Francis has shown in his last couple fights, his fight against Cyril, his fight against Renan Pereira, that he's kind of evolving, you know. I know those fights have kind of been years and years apart, but he's been shown that he's been evolving his game to where he's been including the grappling along with the striking. He's not only just a striker and a defensive grappler, he's also adding in his own offensive grappling to win fights. Yes, Francis does have the most power of all time out of anybody in the world, but people underrate the actual boxing ability that he has, you know. He went in there, he boxed against Tyson Fury, he won that fight and got robbed, like what the hell, but, you know, after that he got knocked out by Anthony Joshua. But no, I'm saying Francis Ngannou has some very, very elite boxing. People underrate the boxing, the speed that he has. I see him going out there and knocking out Philipe Lins easy in round 1. Like, Philipe Lins, guys, what are we doing? We couldn't have found a better guy for Francis Ngannou. Literally, Francis Ngannou is, in my opinion, the greatest heavyweight of all time. And Philipe Lins isn't even a heavyweight. He's a light heavyweight who's been knocked out by Tanner Bozier. Like, what? I don't know. I see Francis Ngannou going out there and having a crazy highlight knockout performance, Alistar Overeem style. I think this is a layup for our boy Francis Ngannou. And, shout out Philipe Lins. I hope you're getting paid good, bro. Hope you're getting paid good. All right, coming on to the co-main event. We got Nate Diaz versus Mike Perry. 41-year-old Nate Diaz versus 34-year-old Mike Perry. Now, a lot of people are taking Nate Diaz in this fight. Nate Diaz, over his career, has kind of proven to be the better overall MMA fighter. He has the better wins over tougher competition. Has a win over Anthony Pettis, has a win over Conor McGregor. Almost finished Leon Edwards back in the day. You guys forget about that, yeah. But yeah, Nate Diaz has shown that in MMA he's the better, more well-rounded fighter. And Mike Perry, 14-8. He's kind of had a tough stint in the UFC when he did fight in the UFC. Had that bad loss to Vicente Luque where he got his nose all freaking crooked on the side of his face. But yeah, Mike Perry kind of had a tough run in the UFC. After that, rebuilt his brand though with bare knuckle boxing. Had a great run in bare knuckle boxing. Earned the Jake Paul fight. Fought Jake Paul. And then yeah, after that he had some more bare knuckle boxing fights. But yeah, Mike Perry. People are underrating him in this fight, in my opinion. And, I'm really thinking that the reason Nate Diaz is going to lose, I'm taking Mike Perry, is because, dude, the amount of punishment Nate Diaz absorbs in all of his fights, especially at the older age that he is. Nate Diaz also fought Jake Paul and got knocked out of the ring in that fight. Like, come on, guys. Nate Diaz just has a innate ability to eat shots right on the chin. He always has. He has a great chin though. And Mike Perry, I see him going in there looking to land leather, man. Looking to land bombs. Mike's a dog. I think that he'll go in there looking to land big shots. Honestly though, this is a 5-round fight, so maybe Mike Perry goes out there, looks to land bombs, hits him bad for the first, couple rounds, and then gasses out from there, kind of Nate Diaz, Conor McGregor-esque. But I don't know. I can't pick a 41-year-old Nate Diaz who, his last win in the UFC was against Tony Ferguson, which he was arguably losing that fight, in my opinion, which that was all the way back in 2021, where he looked come on. He looked so bad in that fight against Tony Ferguson. I don't know. I know Mike Perry's not the best, but I think Mike will get up there. I think Mike will get in there, tag up Nate, cut him up, cut his face. Even if he doesn't find the finish, which I don't think he will, I think he's going to cut up Nate Diaz bad and early. And then, yeah, kind of just, have a war with Nate Diaz. I think that's the fight that Mike Perry's going to be looking for. That is the style of Nate Diaz. He does thrive in those kind of fights, and he does kind of outlast his opponents when that happens. But dude, I don't know. I'm not taking the 41-year-old Nate Diaz. I think that he's a little bit past his prime, a little bit past those scrapping days. Mike Perry, 34 years old. Yes, he's been in a lot of wars, a lot of bare knuckle wars, which is times 10 damage if you're fighting bare knuckle compared to MMA. But I don't know. I'm taking Mike Perry. I'm taking him by decision because I don't see him finishing Nate Diaz. This is a 5-round fight though, so I don't know. This could go either way. I'm taking Mike Perry. I think that he'll be able to tag up Nate, though. I'm taking Mike Perry by round 5 decision. Okay, guys, coming on to the main event. The whole reason you guys are here. Now, after going over the entire card and getting to the main event, I've realized that this card is kind of not that good. This card is kind of buns. Holy, this card's just not that good. Reading through in each and every fight, I was waiting to get to the one, and we made it to the last, the main event, and it's Ronda Rousey, 39-year-old Ronda Rousey versus 44-year-old GINA CARANO. GINA CARANO's last fight was in 2009. I was 5 years old when Gina Carano retired. Like, the crazy thing, and then Ronda Rousey's last fight was all the way back in 2016. But the crazy thing about both these ladies is Ronda Rousey was 12-0, and then she experienced 2 losses and then retired. And Gina Carano was 7-0 and experienced 1 loss and then retired. Which, they were both big stars at the time, so they had the ability to just leave the sport. But, like, it's crazy. That's crazy. They both took just a couple losses and were like, all right, I'm done. I'm done. And Ronda Rousey, you know, her last loss to Amanda Nunes, that was a bad one. And then before that, she had the head kick loss to Holly Holm, which, you know, 2 tough losses. And Gina Carano, her last loss was to Chris Cyborg. She got TKO'd, which, some bad losses, but still, this is their comeback moment. This is their comeback to the spotlight moment. It's been over a decade since Ronda Rousey has fought. It's been over 16 years since Gina Carano has fought. You know, this is their time now. This is their actual retirement. Both of them had a screwed up retirement where they lost and they were like, you know what, I'm done. Now it's time for them to have a little bit of closure. A little bit of closure with the sport. Honestly, I don't even know who Gina Carano is. I went back and watched her fights. Like, I know she's a pioneer of women's MMA, one of the first ever female, you know, pioneers of the sport. Really bringing a spotlight to it. But, yeah, I don't know. I don't think that she's going to beat Ronda Rousey. Ronda Rousey's 39 years old, 5 years younger. Yeah, it's been 10 years since Ronda Rousey's fought, but I think that Ronda Rousey has the more elite, well-rounded game, has that judo background compared to Gina Carano's striking. Like, I think Ronda Rousey will be able to get in there, get a takedown, find a judo sweep, and find a submission on Gina Carano. It's tough to say, though. It's really tough to say. I don't know. I'm assuming this fight's going to be not that high level. I don't know the training level these girls have been at. I don't know how a 39-year-old and a 44-year-old are going to look in there. You know, but I'm assuming that Ronda Rousey will be able to get in there, get the takedowns, find a submission. I'm taking Ronda Rousey by round 2 submission. If she doesn't find the submission, I think that she'll still be able to get the takedowns and coast to a decision. I don't know if either of these girls can make it 5 rounds, though. You know, we'll see. We'll see how this fight goes. I'm excited nonetheless. MVP first ever card. Jake Paul Promotions. Like, you know, they're starting off hot. Starting off with a hot one. I don't know. Do you guys think that this card is comparable with the UFC White House card? Because now that I'm going through and looking at it, maybe I got to look through the White House card, but I'm taking the White House card at this very moment. Maybe we got to see how both of them play out, but yeah, I don't know what's the you know, the most exciting fights on this card. I hope you guys like my breakdown video. Let me know who you guys are taking down below. If you're taking Ronda Rousey or Gina Carano. Yeah, I can't wait though. MVP first ever card. Let's see if they make a second one. I think their second one, I heard that it's Tony Ferguson versus Jorge Masvidal. So, you know, we're off to a hot start, MVP. We're off to a hot start, Jake Paul Promotions. But either way, let me know what you guys think. Let me know who you got down below. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And I'm out. Peace.